you are always becoming, you have never become. To what should you be doing? It's like you should be investing in yourself with education, and you should be taking some kind of action every day.
Financial independence,
freedom,
financial picture,
independent financially,
financial future,
financial freedom and wealth,
financial independence.
Get your fill, financial independence and long life. Hey, hello, and welcome to another episode of Get Your Fill, Financial Independence and Long Life, where we explore ways to achieve those two goals. And really wicked awesome people come on to help us and launch their books right here on the show. First podcast ever for the book. So excited. And you will be too, to meet Wyatt Simon, a seasoned real estate investor with expertise in scaling rental portfolios, financing, finding deals, property management, coaching, mentoring, and mindset development, which is number one. He has a passion for helping others to achieve success in the real estate industry. Wyatt also offers guidance and support to aspiring investors through his coaching and mentoring services. As a devout Christian, Wyatt incorporates his faith into his business practices, ensuring integrity and honesty in all of his transactions. Wyatt, thanks for being with us today.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Can you tell my virtual assistant wrote the intro? Is it obvious?
Well, they're all like that, though. Just like, not that I don't mean to say that I'm going to fall asleep during your thing, but I always think it's too long. It's too, it's just like, you just want to say like, wicked cool guy coming on. Stay tuned for this really exciting episode.
We're going to change it to that. I like that. Let's do that.
Let's do that. I was interviewed by somebody one time, and she doesn't do the intro until like, I don't know, we were like 10 or 15 minutes in, because she's like, I want to get to the good stuff first, and then later on we'll introduce you. I said, sure, sounds good. We actually take a clip, so there'll be a little clip of something interesting at the beginning. It won't just be like me going blah blah blah. So
interesting. Yeah, love it. Well, thanks for having me. I am, really happy to be here and excited. Like you said, it's the first one of the book launch, so wherever this takes us, let's do it.
All right. So, Wyatt, I don't mean to sound like prejudicial or anything, but you look really young to be helping people to scale more than 100 units of real estate. Tell me about how you got started. Like, were you like 4 years old, or how'd that happen?
I love it. Well, I hit real estate at a good time. I will say that. So that helped. And really, I started real estate, my first job out of college. I worked for the largest home buyer company in Colorado. So they were buying 25 houses a month, and I got to learn all their experience for how to run numbers, how to make money. And then I said, wow, I'm doing all the work. I should do this for myself. And so eventually, I started buying houses on the side. I moved to a smaller market, Omaha, Nebraska, where I was talking to this Nebraska girl, now my wife. And anyways, just started buying real estate on the side, working a full-time job. Started in 2018, house hacking with a duplex, lived in one side, rented out the other. And, then started slowly scaling the portfolio. I'd say if you had to like coin something, I'm the kid that took a $200K line of credit and turned it into a $20 million portfolio in 6 years.
Wow, that's impressive.
Thanks.
One thing that has to go along with that, I think, is a lot of guts, right? You really have to have some confidence. You have to, and you had that because you knew what you were doing, right? So many people are like, okay, now I've got a duplex. Maybe in 5 years, I'll get another place, like maybe I'll move out of this duplex and get a single family. Then I'll have 2 rentals instead of 1, but you're just like doing it. So how did you get to that point where you've said, yeah, I can do this. I'm going to leverage. I know it's a good time in the market, or like, tell me the thought process that went along with that.
Yeah. Well, the first thing is I just knew that I wanted to not work for someone else the rest of my life. Right. And maybe everyone can relate, like reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that, okay, assets can work for you while you sleep. And so if you get enough of them, maybe you don't have to work. And so I was like, how do I get more assets? And so then that started the journey of, okay, well, real estate was the natural landing zone for me. And then, okay, I can get a duplex and lower my costs. Like that makes sense. So did that, but then that was all my money. And so, well, am I going to wait another 5 years to save up more money to then buy another piece? No, I was like, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to. So then how could I do that? And that was when I discovered the Burr strategy. And so if anybody doesn't know what the Burr strategy is, that's when you buy a piece of real estate, you improve the piece of real estate, and then you refinance it and keep it and pull all your money out and then keep it as a rental. And
Yeah.
so it actually stands for buy, renovate, rent,
Rent.
refinance, repeat, right?
Yeah.
And that strategy is so powerful because it allowed me to take a little bit of money and just repeat it and buy a property, improve it, get the money back, keep the property, and do it again and again and again. And so now I've done that 54 times between single family, multifamily, office. And yeah, it's a good strategy.
It's a great strategy. And it works really well starting at 2017, 2018, when the market was going up, 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 because your bill, even if you didn't fix it, even if you didn't renovate it, you're getting a little equity just with the passage of time because of where the market was. Did you know that? Did you have a sense of urgency saying, oh my God, we're in this great time, we're in a growth cycle, let's hurry up and buy lots of stuff?
I I didn't. I think I just worked. I just like to give you context. I mean, I spent a lot of my time working, like it was just I got a job. So I got a W-2 job that was salary plus commission doing foundation sales and repair. And I got very good at my job. And so that helped with income and mortgages, right?
Yeah.
And then on top of that, it was just like to give you guys some context, when I after I bought my duplex, I was like, okay, I'm out of money. Like, what do I do now? Well, I didn't have any money. So I went to the one person I knew that did have money, and that was my parents. Now they didn't have money, but they had their house paid off in cash. And so I said, Mom and Dad, would you let me take a home equity line of credit out on this and use it to buy houses using this Burr strategy? And they said, absolutely not.
My parents did the same thing. What is up with
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. And so they didn't want to give a 22, 23-year-old $200,000. And so eventually, after 9 months of me repeatedly educating myself, going to real estate meetups, doing the home buying company beforehand and continuing to educate them on what the process would look like, they eventually came around and said yes. And so from there, it took me 6 months after work to put offers on market, lowball offers. No real estate agent wanted to work with me. I was 22 or 23 years old, just putting out lowball offers, like went through several agents until finally I got a yes. And then it took me 6 months after work. I was not handy. I did not have systems. I did not know how to remodel properties, but the center on my college basketball team grew up on a farm and he was very handy. And so I said, Nate, like, would you remodel this home with me after working on the weekends? And I'll get Chick-fil-A every single time and pay you 25 bucks an hour. And he said, sure, let's do it. So 6 months of rehabbing the property. We eventually got it done. I got a tenant in there. We refinanced the property. I was able to pull out all the capital except for $2,000. So I
Right.
was all into that property for $2,000. And my parents owned 50% ownership as well for taking the risk. And so that was proof of concept.
Yeah.
And so I finished that project at the end of 2018 and then did 3 the next year, 6 the year after that, and then 20 plus every following year. Yeah.
It's so great. So it's right. It's not what you know, it's who you know. You build your team, you find the people who can work with you. He's like, do I know someone who has money? Yes. Do I know someone who can fix stuff up? Yes. All right, let's go. And it doesn't have to be. So the first place that you renovated, would you say that it was like perfect? Like you would want to live there? It was the best. You did the best job ever.
Well, it was a 22-year-old doing the work, so that had, learned on YouTube. So it was it cool to me and good? Yeah, but looking back at it, it was okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think that's what slows people down, right? Analysis paralysis. And they get in the house and you're like, oh, no one's going to want this because it's not perfect and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, just do it. Just get it done. Just finish it. You know what? 10 years from now, when those people move out, do it again. But in the meantime, go do something else. So, yeah.
Yeah, taking action is massive. And so if you're listening to this and you're like, man, like what is the one thing that you can be doing right now with where you're at? right? Like I listened to a podcast episode. It was a Bigger Pockets episode a long, long time ago, and it was wash your truck. He's like, dude, I didn't know how to invest in real estate, but I knew that if I washed my truck, I would have a better chance to sell my truck, which I could then use the funds to invest in real estate. And like it's starting the domino.
Yeah.
So like for you, it's what is the one thing that you can be doing to start moving on the right track?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's it. Just because 10 years from now, if you don't do anything, you're going to be exactly where you are right now. Whereas if you take one little tiny incremental step, in 10 years from now, they could be you.
Yeah. And
If
people
they're lucky.
underestimate 10 years
Yeah.
from now.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. Exactly. So tell us about the book.
Yeah. So the book is everything that I wished I would have had. It's literally, it's called Your First 100 Units. So I'm currently at 180 unit portfolio. I don't own all of it myself. I own about 40% of the portfolio.
That's
Um,
great.
but yeah, I did that in my 20s. And so I've read a lot of books. I listened to a lot of podcasts, and, I've gone to a lot of events, had coaching myself, paid for a lot of money for coaching. And all of that to say, it's like, if I bundled everything up into like, dude, if you were starting right now, like this is the playbook to read so that you can go from 0 to 1 or from 2 to 20. Like that's what I put in there. Yeah.
And what do you say to people who say, well, the market's not what it was. You can't get good deals now. It's too hard. What do you say to those kind of people?
I mean, I've done 18 deals this year. So that's what I got to say to those people. So the market is harder. Like there's no doubt the market's harder. Interest rates are higher. Like taxes are higher. Insurance is higher. Stuff's real. Stuff's real out there. So what is the strategy that's right for you? Right. And so that I talk about it in the book, but there's really two ways to do real estate. Like one is real estate investing, and that's more passive, right? That's like just putting money in and expecting money to come out and keeping your day job or your day business, whatever
Yeah.
that is, right? And that's just passive investing, and real estate is phenomenal for that. So are you a passive investor, or are you going to be an active investor like a business owner? And that's when you're wholesaling, flipping, really, those are the two big ones, but
Yeah.
that's when you're actively trading these assets in a business. And so if like anyone can go out there and still flip houses and make money, wholesale houses and make money. And then if you are going to be a more passive investor, then it's okay, how do you make deals work? Maybe you put down more money. You do have to save more money, right?
Yeah.
To lower the debt service, to then still have things cash flow, or choose a market that still is cash flowing.
Yeah. And is that how you ended up in Nebraska? So where were you living at that time?
Yeah, I was in Colorado when I got introduced to real estate, right? But I'll give you context. I grew up in Colorado. I then went to a super small college in Nebraska where 5'11" white guys play basketball, called Doane College. So that was what brought me to Nebraska originally. And then I met this beautiful young woman freshman year, my college sweetheart, Shelby. And so her and I were off and on in college. We ended up taking a break. I moved back to Colorado, did the house buying job, and then she came out and visited. It was like the best week of my life. And so I ended up taking a job in Omaha to be closer to her. And now we're married. We've been married for 4.5 years, been together for a little over a decade. So
Wow, congratulations.
thank you.
That's fun. And you still like each other from the looks of your face.
Most days. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a decade's a long time.
Yep.
But I know people who are investing in Omaha because they feel like the market's more favorable there. Have you found that to be true?
I would. Yeah. I mean, you're seeing a lot of East and West Coast money flood into these Midwest states,
Yeah.
Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, because your dollar just goes further.
Yeah.
Right. And so, yeah, it's no secret that yeah, things are good here.
Yeah. Yeah. So now that you're there and if you were starting today, do you think you do things a little bit differently as far as just because, and I'm asking mostly because of the market and because of, some things that have changed. So it's one thing to be coming into this market where you've already got some assets, but if you're coming into this market for the first time, you're going to buy your very first thing. Do you think you'd do anything differently?
For sure. I would. If I'm coming into the market right now, I'm going to focus on where can I spend my time to make the most amount of money? And I'm going to get really good is I call it defense, offense, and investing. And so I break it into these three buckets, but defense is Dave Ramsey 101, like save more than you earn and have a budget and stick to it and learn how to manage cash flow.
Yeah.
So that's defense. Offense is how much money can you make with your active in time, right? And that is time in, money out. That could be, and so then the last thing is investing. And so if you once you have the surplus in offense, then you can start to invest more. And right now, with where interest rates are, it's important that it's really hard to do BRRRR deals where you have no money into it.
Yeah.
And so that means that you're going to have to put money into deals for the most part. So again, back to this three-leg triangle here, you got to have defense and you got to have offense to then really manage investments and have better investments. So then again, I would challenge the audience member, if you're listening to this, you got to figure out, okay, like if you've got defense down pat, maybe you're working a W-2 job right now. Well, can you build a side business on the side? Like maybe for me, it was setting up a off-market deal finding system, right? And so in the big unlock for me, when I did 6 properties in a year compared to when I did 24 properties in a year between 2020 and 2021 was I started hustling and finding and mailing sellers and getting off-market deals. So I stopped buying deals from wholesalers and started wholesaling myself some of these deals and then keeping the ones that I wanted to. And that was a huge unlock, was getting to the front end of the funnel.
Yeah. And that you can do that, I think, if you've got some knowledge, but it's hard to walk into a property and know what to do, right? Know how much to offer somebody, know where the numbers are going to be if you haven't done any of that yourself. Just to walk into a wholesale situation and say, okay, I'm looking at your house and, this is a number that we can work with. I think you kind of have to know what's going to have to go into it before you even know what to offer people.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And that's why I really mean like work on your active income so that you can throw money into real estate and have all the benefits of it. But like maybe you're working a side job. Like one of my coaching students right now, he's a wealthy man in California. He's working a W-2 job, making a very good living. And he joined the program to invest in real estate. But really what we've kind of pivoted to is he's got this side business that is making him right now $8,000 a month passively.
Nice.
With his side business. And so should he be focusing on real estate investing? No, he should be focusing on growing that side business to continue to do it and then putting money into real estate to have the tax benefits and have his money grow. But like his time is best spent focusing on that side business rather than doing real estate. And it's in hand with real estate. Right. So he's partnering with people in our mastermind and financing their deals. And so they're finding him the good deals. He's the money partner. He's still getting the tax write-offs and the benefits of real estate, but he's not spending his time trying to find deals because his time is building this passive business.
Yeah. And sometimes that's the case, right? Especially if you're not already handy, you don't already know what you're doing, you're better off to pay somebody to do the work and you just do your job and can continue to collect the money that you're then given to the carpenter or whatever, just rather than try to learn it all yourself. And, I have clients like that who are like, well, we're going to put the floor down ourselves and and we're just thinking, oh my God,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Okay, great.
if you're listening to this, I'd say like, I challenge you, like, what is your hourly rate? Like, what are you worth hourly?
Yeah.
And you got to know that. And then if it's not where you want it to be, you got to figure out what it's going to take to get you there, because real estate is just the side benefit to everything else. But you really have to become the person that makes the money to be able to put it into real estate.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, I mean, I heard you mentioned when you were listing off some of your assets that you've got some office space. And what is your opinion right now about the different? So, obviously there's residential, commercial, industrial land. What do you feel like where are you putting your money right now?
Multifamily.
Okay.
Multifamily assets. Yeah. I have just one one office building that was a seller finance deal. So I don't know too much about office. I had a storage warehouse that I ended up selling. And then, yeah, we do single family and multifamily. We're really focused on wholesaling most of our single family at this point,
Yeah.
and putting our money into multifamily assets where you just get the scalability piece of
Yeah,
it.
our market, it's tough here in the Boston area. I'm looking at properties, it's like a two family and they want like 750. And I thought that, and they're getting like $800 a bedroom for rent. I'm like, people are nuts. Why would I
Oh,
want to do that? It's all negative cash flow. It's not even like a cap rate of like 0.5, like, okay, I'm
yeah.
getting a 0.5% here for my money. Doesn't make any sense. And I think part of that is because there's no place for people to live. We're kind of short on inventory for people for their primary residence. So they're like, well, just buy a two family and, paying too much for that. But for investors, it's really nuts. So I've been playing around with some commercial space, some office space, just to try something new.
Yeah. Love it. You gotta go where the market's good.
Yeah, exactly. And every place is different. Are you only in the Omaha, Nebraska? Is that where you're invested? All your property is pretty much.
So I'm in Omaha, Lincoln, and Council Bluffs, Iowa, which is right across the river from Omaha. So I'm within a 60-mile radius of Omaha.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because I chose to be crazy and vertically integrate with property management back in 2021. And so I quit my well-paying job and started a management company, which is by far the hardest thing I had ever done in my life. Um, and man, it was a grind, but I had to learn so many more skill sets and pay for so much more consulting to help me learn these skill sets and create a company that can really sustain and keep the portfolio afloat and growing with minimal costs. So
Yeah, it's
yeah.
good to know those things. It's good to know how to do property management, but you're right. It's a special skill. And you said you kind of implied earlier that when you first started, you didn't have any systems, and I assume that means that now you've got systems.
Yeah. Yeah, I really at this point I have four different businesses that I do. Property management is the one I probably put the least amount of effort in. Our property management team has 5 people on it. We've got a director, and then basically a director slash property manager, and then another property manager that answers to him, 2 maintenance techs underneath both of them, and then a virtual assistant that works with a lot of back stuff
Yeah.
for us.
Yeah, when I first started in real estate, my boss, the broker in my office was a property manager, and I used to hear him on the phone and dealing with tenants and stuff like that. And I just thought, I manage a couple of properties, but it's a different realm. You know what I mean? It's either short-term rentals where the tenants are not really tenants, right? They're just vacationers, or it's wealthy college students in Boston who, their parents pay the bills and they don't even ever call you for a year to say it. Wait till you ask them if they want to renew for another year. So it's a whole different deal. But yeah, it's a special personality type to be really good at dealing with tenants and stuff like that. But did you ever offload that? Did you ever hire anybody to do your property management before you did it yourself?
Yeah, I did. And you're right. It does take a special person. And that's why like I think it's really respectable for the team members that do it and people that do it because we're providing people's homes. And
Yeah.
so it's not an easy thing, but it's something that makes a lot of difference in people's lives. So yes, to answer your question, I managed 15 properties myself while working a full-time job early in my career for my first 4 years. Once I got my first 23 unit, so my first multifamily, I was like, okay, there's no way. So I hired a property management company back in 2021. I did 3 multifamily deals. And so the portfolio went from like 15 to 76 units. And in 2021, I had hired a property management company, let them go because they weren't doing a good job, brought on a new one. Eventually, they were not doing a good job, so we let them go. And then at the end of 2021, it was kind of at that point where I said, you know what? If I bought these deals, then I'm going to take responsibility and make sure they go well. And so I left my cushy job and started the management company, and that was fun.
Yeah, the people who I know who have started property management companies, that's exactly why they did it, because they just couldn't get no satisfaction from the people who they were trying to hire to do the work.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
So what's next? What do you want to do? How you like, you're like, okay, I got this real estate investing thing down. What do you want to do now? What are you doing now that's really fun and challenging?
Yeah, at this point, we're growing our wholesaling business to be a 7-figure business that I can take a 3-month-long vacation and everything still runs. So we're still, probably a couple quarters away from that. Right now, I'm still doing a lot in that business. And then along with that, I am doing coaching and consulting. And so it's just fun. Like my mission is I want to grow 100 millionaires through real estate. Right now we are at 2. And so we got
Hey,
98 left
it's
to
great though.
help. Yeah. Been doing it for, I guess it's been a little over a year now. And so it's just fun to see people grow their portfolios and, help their families out and all the things. So yeah, those are my 2 big focuses. This whole book launch is to help more people know how to invest in real estate and do it the right way. And then, yeah, my goal is to eventually just do the consulting and help people do it because we've got the people and the systems in place for both property management and wholesaling. Um, so that's kind of the big 2-3 year picture. And then at that point, just visit people and travel and have fun.
Yeah, that sounds fabulous. And yeah, exactly. Fun. Fun is the operative word. But you always get it. You always have to be challenged, right? I talk to a lot of young people who are like, "Oh yeah, fire. I'm 26 and I'm, financially independent." Like, so now what are you going to do? Play golf for the rest of your life? You know what I mean? You got to do something. You got to be having fun and be challenged. And what's going to be the next big thing? So you don't want to get bored.
Agreed. Yeah. That's why, yeah, you see all those statistics of the old men that retire and then pass away. It's like, no,
Exactly.
life's too full. Purpose.
Exactly. So you made a point in or your virtual assistant made a point in your introduction of talking about, your faith. How does that factor into your work life?
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my savior. Like, I'll just let you know, like, I grew up, in a private, I grew up in a family that loved Jesus. We'll say that. So I had a really great role models growing up, but I basically felt like I grew up in a bubble. And so as soon as I graduated high school, I was like ready to be out of there. And so I went off to college and totally flipped the script, right? Like drinking, drugs, sex, all the things, just, pursued a life of emptiness. And eventually in Colorado was where I hit rock bottom after college. I just was getting everything that I wanted and it was so empty. And so eventually I said, all right, there's got to be something else to life. And so that was when I came back to Christ and gave my life back to God. And from there, my entire, life changed. Like it's just, um, there really is like, fundamentally believe that God wants goodness for us, right? Jeremiah 29:2, like I have plans for you to prosper for you. And so anyways, that fundamentally that changed my life. And so because of that, yeah, now it's just how can we help more people realize that and also use that as, power to give back to the kingdom and help other people.
But tell me about how is the book writing process for you?
So much, I'll put it this way, the book writing process was so much easier than I thought it was going to be, but the logistics of a book launch and getting it up on Amazon and all of that was so much harder than I thought. So, but yeah, to write a book, to answer your question, I watched a YouTube video of like how to write a book, right?
Yeah.
And a gentleman really just detailed one of those like maps where you write your title and then you just kind of do like a story design. I don't, maybe you know what it's called, a branch out,
Yeah, like a mind map kind of thing.
a mind map. There we
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you do the mind map, right? And then that's how you write your book's chapters. And then you just do another mind map for each chapter to then write the outline. And then you just go to work. It was really like 2 to 3 weeks on a park bench for me, just writing it. No chat GPT, and, old school style. But I was done with the rough draft really quickly. And then the editing and all that took a while.
Yeah, the editing's the tough part. I thought mine was done, and then I gave it to a friend of mine. He's like, "Okay, I only found like 172 things that I want." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, good, thanks." So,
Yeah, sweet. Yeah. Yeah. The editing took like, yeah, 6 times as long as the writing.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. And the other thing is, of course, the hard part is starting it. right. I actually was at a friend's house this past weekend, and they had someone come over, and he's like, yeah, there was a book cover on his website, and oh, tell me about the book. Like, oh, well, it's just a cover. I said, why is that? So we started writing it. I was like, give me a pad of paper. Let's go. Let's do this thing. And I hope that helped. I haven't talked to him since, but it's just do it. Don't, think yourself to death. Just do it. Just do this
Right.
thing.
Exactly. You got it. Well, hopefully, yeah, I'd be curious to see if he started or not after.
I know. He has a notebook full of stuff that he can and instructions of what to do next. So hopefully he's still working on it, but
Perfect.
I'll
Good.
find out the next time I go down there. So what would you tell somebody who's maybe in your shoes, maybe they're younger or older or whatever, but they're just like, okay, I feel like I can do this. Maybe they even have already bought a multifamily, maybe they're like already living in a duplex or something. What would you tell them that they should be doing like right now to prepare themselves for the next step?
So it's education plus action. And so I'll say this. It was actually back in 2023, 20, it is 20, yeah, it was back in 23. I really got this attitude of a big head. Like I was like, man, I got 100 and some units. Like I know everything. I'm writing the book. Like, dang, dude, I made it. Yeah. Like I know everything. Like, and so, man, the Lord put some humility on me in 2023. Yeah. Did, I moved all into multifamily. I was all in on multifamily, did one deal, like just, and it was a small one. It wasn't even a big one. It was just a grind it out, like hard year. And so I say that to share with the audience, like you are always becoming, you have never become.
Right.
And so if you haven't become yet, well, you're always going to be becoming, but like to what should you be doing? It's like you should be investing in yourself with education, and you should be taking some kind of action every day, right? Like maybe that's making an offer, or maybe that's making an intro relationship with a real estate agent. Maybe that's going out to coffee with an agent, right?
Yeah.
Picking up the phone and calling an agent. Maybe it's calling a lender because you don't know if you can lend yet, but there's always something you can be doing, and there's always something you can be learning. And so if you can combine both of those every single day, you will start becoming greater and greater, and then just keep becoming. Don't ever think you became.
It's so true. So Wyatt, I love talking with you. You're awesome. I think you're going to be you're already very successful. I think your book is going to be really successful. I think you're going to help a lot of people. But what is a question that you wish I would have asked you that we haven't touched on? Something you want to make sure people know?
I would say one of my favorite things to talk about is my favorite book. And so if you said, Wyatt, what is one book that you have read that has transformed your life? My answer to that would be, besides the Bible, it would be Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And so I read that at a very young age, when I was 21, and I actually did the activities in it. And so one of the things is to begin with the end in mind.
Yeah.
And so if you don't have a clear vision of what you want your life to be like, then you're just going to float and you're going to be living on other people's schedules, right? And so I would encourage everyone to literally go through the activity, which is going to a funeral and going to your own funeral. And what are your friends saying? What are your family saying? What is your coworker saying? And what is your spiritual person saying, right, about you? And then what do you want them to say? What needs to change? And
Yeah.
start changing now.
Yeah, that's really powerful. I had that one of my coaches, that's an exercise that we do every year, is to write your obituary, and exactly that. What do people say about you? How were you remembered? And things like that. And it really forces you to think about who you want to be and what you want, because we're not there, but we're also not getting any younger. So
Yeah. Amen.
awesome. Awesome. Wyatt, thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. It was a blast. I really appreciate it. And I will say, if your listeners want to get in touch or learn anything
That's
more,
the question I always ask, and I
was
totally
it?
freaking
Okay.
forgot. I'm so sorry. Yes.
No, you're good.
Wyatt, how can people reach out to you if they need coaching, if they like you, they want to buy the book, they want to find out more about you? Sorry.
Man, all good. Well, hey, if you guys do want to learn more or want to reach out, I'm just going to give you my email. I'll say the first 3 people from this podcast that want the book, I will give it to you for free. So shoot me an email. It's Wyatt, Wyatt, at fcrenebraska.com. So that's Wyatt, Wyatt, at F as in full, C as in circle, R as in real, E as in estate, Nebraska.com. And the first 3 listeners, I will give you a free book. And anybody else, feel free to shoot me a message, and I'm happy to help.
Awesome. And you don't know, you might be one of the first 3. So you have to send that email. And what's the worst that could happen? You'll be talking to Wyatt, which is, you can tell, is going to be fun and awesome and enlightening and interesting.
Super intimidating. Super. Yeah.
Setting the bar. Okay, cool. So thank you for listening. And right now, I think 5, come up with 5 people who who have been like waffling about real estate, who need to have some focus and some vision, and forward this episode to them, because they are going to be so grateful to you. And maybe they'll be one of the, and while you're at it, send Wyatt an email. And we're going to put those links in the show notes for you as well, so that you will be sure to have them. And have a great week.
Thanks so much. Thanks, Christine. Appreciate it.
Thanks.